Well, we are down to the final 8 nations at the FIFA World Cup as quarterfinal action is set to go this weekend. Welcome into another edition of Corner Kicks. Rob Wong joined alongside by national soccer columnist Derek Van Diest, who is in Qatar for the FIFA World Cup. And Derek, the quarterfinals begin with a pretty good matchup as the 2018 runners-up from Croatia face off against the tournament betting favorite right now in Brazil. Can Croatia overcome Brazil's offensive output?
Well, that's the question, and I think Canadians know Croatia pretty well by seeing them play against Canada in that second game of the group stage, and obviously Croatia was really good in that game. They played really well. I think Canada had run a little bit out of gas in that game. Now, Croatia did just enough to get past Japan, and this is a team that, of course, made it to the final 4 years ago. They made it with a really solid group of players, a real good core of talented players. Now that core has kind of gotten a little older, and a lot of the players aren't around anymore. So they're kind of a team in transition, but they're still led by Luka Modric. They're still led by even Perisic. Those are still their top players. But can they get over Brazil? Brazil looks like it's found its stride. It's found its samba rhythm against Korea. They scored 4 goals in 36 minutes. So it's going to be a tough chore for Croatia. They're really going to have to try and grind this out. They're really going to have to try and not get overwhelmed by Brazil, because Brazil right now, they just have so many options. They have so many players that they can use, so many different combinations. You look at their group, the 26-man roster, you could put out any of those guys out on the field and you'll have a really solid team. Croatia, on the hand, is not as deep, is not as solid, and they'll be counting on Modric again at 37 to do a lot of running in midfield to try and keep up with those Brazilians. So I think it's going to be a really, really tough chore for Croatia, and they're going to have to grind this game out and kind of do what they did against Japan, grind it out, and maybe get it to penalties or something to that extent. I think they have to try and extend the game, because if they let the Brazilians overwhelm them, then it could be a long day for Croatia.
That game will be followed by Lionel Messi and Argentina battling the Netherlands. Messi's made an impact so far at this World Cup, Derek, but can he do it at least one more time?
Well, it seems like the Netherlands and Argentina are always meeting at a World Cup. They met 4 years ago. This is the 6th time they've met, starting from 1978 when Netherlands lost to Argentina in the final. So they're very familiar with each other. They've always seemed to have to go through each other to get to the final. Now, this is it for Lionel Messi. This is his last kick in the can. He's 35 years old. He's probably not going to be here for another World Cup. And I think the difference between this team and some of the other teams that Lionel Messi had is just the talent that he has around him. He's got a lot of talent around him, and he doesn't have to do everything. He doesn't have to carry everything. And you've seen that in the moments in these games where he kind of appears, does his thing, scores his goal, and then kind of moves on. So he's such a motivated player right now. This is the one trophy that he doesn't have in his massive trophy case. He wants to have a World Cup championship. That'll cement his legacy up there with the other greats, with the Pelés and the Maradonas and the other great players in the world. And so this game's going to mean a lot to him, but I think it's going to be really going to be dependent on how the rest of the team plays, not so much Messi. You know what you're going to get with Messi, but how do the other guys respond around him, and whether they can help lift him past the Netherlands, who's a good, young, solid team, and they got a lot of good young players, and they're going to run all day on them. So it's going to be interesting. There's all the pressures on Argentina and Messi going into this game. I don't think the Netherlands has a lot of pressure, because they're not expected to go as far as Argentina is. So they're going to play free, they're going to play loose, and that could be a problem for Argentina.
The Cinderella story of the tournament has, of course, been Morocco after their stunning defeat of Spain. They'll face Portugal next, who is dealing with a lot of drama off the field right now with Cristiano Ronaldo. But is there more magic left for Morocco, Derek?
I hope so. I think the thing with Morocco is their fans have been fantastic here. They've really come in, and Morocco is kind of, the region has embraced this team as the local team. They wanted a team to cheer for, and this is the team. And their fans at every game have been outstanding. They've almost lifted the team to other levels. They did it against Canada. When you saw they were tiring against Canada, and Canada was making a good push in that second half against Morocco, and they nearly tied the game. But it just seemed that they were inspired by the fans. They lifted them to be able to hold off Canada in that game. And then in the next game against Spain, they allowed Spain to pass the ball as much as they wanted. And every time Spain tried to get into the penalty area, Morocco defended so well. They defended so well, and they counterattacked so well. And I think that really kind of kept Spain on the perimeter and on the outside, and they weren't really penetrating anything at all. And Morocco said, you guys want to pass the ball around the whole game, go ahead and pass the ball around. But as long as you don't get into our 18-yard box. If they can do the same thing, who knows? They can keep this run going. It's obviously going to be tough. Portugal, they look better without Ronaldo on the field than they did with him. So that's going to add to some drama. And the kid that replaced Ronaldo on the field scored 3 goals. So that that maybe tells you that how loose Portugal was when Ronaldo's not on the field. They don't seem to have that pressure, having to give him the ball or having to please him or having to to help him out. And I think that opened a lot of eyes. But having Ronaldo on the bench and seeing how well Portugal played, so it'll be really interesting to see if they go with that same strategy or if Ronaldo goes back into the starting lineup. Because I think Portugal, they showed that they are one of the better teams in this tournament, and they do have a legitimate shot of winning this tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how the Moroccan fans kind of lift their team and help their team to get to victory, because there's a lot of talent on that Moroccan team, including a Montreal-born goaltender, which he's had a fantastic tournament so far.
Finally, in what is possibly the marquee matchup of the tournament so far, it is England versus France. Kylian Mbappe has been phenomenal so far. Does England have what it takes to slow him down, Derek?
I think they do, because I think England's got a lot of good young players themselves, and I think it's a matter of letting those players play. And I think Gareth Southgate, the head coach of England, has been really kind of criticized because England seemingly in the last 2 major tournaments, they played well until they score a goal. And once they score a goal, Gareth Southgate likes to shut it down. He likes to win 1-0, and they've been caught both times. Croatia 4 years ago, and then Italy at the Euros. So I think if he just lets them play, if they get up a goal, let them try and get the second, let them try and get the third. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. This game has the makings of a final itself. This could very well be a final had the groupings worked out a little different, because I think both teams have good, young, talented players, and it's just a matter of letting them go out there, taking the reins off them, and letting them see what they've done. France has been here before. There's no pressure on France. They know what it takes to get to that next level. Kylian Mbappe's already won a World Cup. They're trying to repeat as World Cup champions for the first time since Brazil. Brazil did it in 58 and 62. So there is not so much pressure on them because they've already done it. They're going to be loose. They're going to be ready to go. And England has that 1966 still hanging over them. They still want to break that 1966. That's the last time they won a major trophy. So they have that pressure going into them. But I think they are talented enough to match with France as long as their head coach lets them just keep playing even after they go up a goal.
Should be an incredible matchup between those two soccer powerhouses. You can find all of Derek's World Cup coverage at Postmedia and follow him on Twitter at Derek Van Diest.